going on, guys? JD at JD's Custom Buggies. Baja Dune update, video number 6. Got quite a few things done. We're definitely on a crunch. It's February 10th, Wednesday afternoon, and races on the 19th or 20th or something like that. Goal is to hopefully have this thing somewhat assembled over the weekend. It seems like a tough goal. I hate making goals because I hate disappointing myself, but regardless, that would be great. I'd be very happy. Want to give you a look at what's going on. Been doing a lot of welding. Cage is finished welded. Started on some grinding. And then what we'll show you now is I had the whole front end on with the steering rack at some point, and then took it apart and started working on flipping the cage and welding it up. So therefore, we have a rack and pinion mount to show you. That's mounted. Pedals got mounted last night. Steering shaft got made last night. Still have some things to do. Oh, and the Polaris seat frame has been, we did our mounting on that. So we'll turn the camera around, we'll give you a quick look, and then we'll just kind of walk through each thing. So let's flip it around. So she's about all welded up. First off, we got our rack mount done, and basically, as we talked about before, the arms are getting mounted in front of the original front tab. So we got our new tabs in. What else? Oh, cut the stock rear tab off. Okay, had to punch out. So this rack mount was moved down lower because the original mount was up here. We cut it off, moved it lower, and basically pushed it out an inch in front of the buggy where it would be. An inch further forward, I should say. Pedals are mounted. We got them centered. So I cut off the little nubbins that were originally right here and right there. Okay, and then bent these tubes, welded them in to get the pedals more centered. They're about a foot apart. Then we welded the little nubbins back in, put some bolts in the frame for return springs. So they're not bolted in, they're just kind of sitting on the posts. All right, if you notice, I got this bolt over here. So my goal is, once I get this all bolted up and straightened out, I took a long 5/16 bolt, took 2 couplers to stiffen it up instead of just using a nut. Keep any flex out of it. And our master cylinder gets mounted back there where that post is sticking up. So we need to make a rod. So that's why I brought, this needs to be up further to the left, over to the left, because originally it was over here. So I'm hoping that I can do something that'll make it work using this. And we're gonna find out. It's a little bit of an experiment. Seat frame. This turned out pretty good. This is the original. That's our Polaris seat frame. The cushions are off of it. Welded some 1-inch tubing on either side and kind of counter sunk it down. So this way, like, the seat can't move forward or backward. And then attach some 1/4-inch tabs and drill some holes right through the floorboard. So basically, get an impact, electric impact if we're in a rush at the track. Zap up all 4 bolts, and then that lifts right out. And what's kind of nice is all you got to do is slide it over to line up with the holes, and it goes right back down. Drop it in. So there's no, screwing around. It should line up easy and work well. I put a piece of 1/4-inch tab up here, just because that's where the back of the seat was going to sit anyway, and I didn't want there to be any flex in this frame. I have a couple of razors. The seats seem to work fine and all that. I've never said, oh, I'm not really confident with this seat right now. But I figured the thing should have something to rest against. So we need to put some seatbelt tabs in. Actually, well, we're gonna find out when we get the cushions back. We're gonna see how the original 2 seat tabs work over there. Seatbelt tabs. If they don't work, I'm gonna weld something in. Gas tank tabs are next. That'll be done today. What else? Got our pedals. Oh, steering shaft. So they're over here on the table. If you ever noticed on your Baja Dune, because the steering wheel is offset to one side, and if you look at Amber's, the number 52, I never did change it, never thought to, but of course you can unbolt this and move this across. I'll bring it over to the buggy and I can kind of show you what I mean. Alright, so normally this thing is mounted right here. And because the seat is kind of cocked over to the left of the steering wheel, this was originally, it kind of angles to the left, so just a tube where the steering wheel shaft goes through. Alright, so even though this is sitting straight, the tube kind of cocks one way. So when I move this center, it kind of bolted up straight, you got a little cock in the tube. So what I did was I cut it loose, the welds on here, put it in vise and kind of gave it a tweak and then re-welded it. So now our tube will be straight. Alright, now on the number 52 Amber's Crossfire, I never did that, but that might be something I take apart and redo. I just gave it some thought. It always bothered me over there, and I just, you know, never had time to get back to it and do it. So that's done. Probably gonna clean that up and sandblast it and paint it today. Steering shafts. So let me go over here and grab the lower steering shaft that was originally. If it's still sitting here, it's not sitting. Oh yes, it is. I got it. All right. So here's our original lower end of the steering shaft. These are collapsible. They slide in the D-tube or whatnot. So, and then here's the piece. This is the original Dune right here that I cut off. So here's what happens. This D shaft, I mean, they're about the same size. In fact, I didn't even try this last night. I'm not gonna try it now because I only got one hand to do it. So this D shaft I buy the inner and the outer, and it's like a sleeve. You know, it's collapsible. That's a stock car thing. You get it from Stock Car Supply website, whatever. Always use that in our stock cars and whatnot. So it just so happened that coincidentally, when I got into the buggies, the ones with the collapsible shafts are basically the same premise. They look like the same thing. So I've been making my own steering shafts for a long time, like on Nerf dogs and stuff like that. Now, on every buggy except for a Yerf Dog Spider Box GX150 model, the spline count on the rack is different than the Yerf Dog. The Yerf Dog has the standard 5/8 36 spline U-joint shaft count or whatever. My terminology. So what I'm talking about is this hole here. So this is standard 5/8 36 spline. This standard U-joint, which we use in stock cars and whatnot, probably even fits Chevy, works on a Yerf Dog. Okay, but it doesn't work on every other buggy. So Baja Dune, Crossfires, Hammerheads, Carters, American Sport Works, every other Chinese buggy has something different, which is whatever the hell this is. But this is smaller than the 5/8, all right? So I don't know if it's a metric thing or whatever, but it's not really like, it's not a standard U-joint spline diameter deal. So, that being said, the rack that we're using is the 5/8 36 spline. So, that's why I buy U-joints and D-shaft to make my own shafts and stuff like that. So, normally, and what I have been able to do in the past, is basically just take the inner and it should slide into the stock outer. This wasn't going to go. I ground a little bit off to try and clean it up. I even tried to clean the inside of this up and lube it and this and that. For some reason, it's just not going in. Because of lack of time and patience, I just lopped off a piece of outer the same length. I'm gonna put it next to my weld here. Okay, so basically the same length. I might have made it a little shorter because I got so much of this, and then lopped off the stock U-joint that goes to the steering wheel. Took another piece of this inner, cut about 2 inches of it, hammered it into there. I did get it to go in there. And left 2 inches out, or an inch in, an inch out, and then welded it all. And that ensured me that this shaft here is very straight, okay? So, that's where we're at with that. So now, we're about to put things together, hopefully mock it up. So I have my work cut out for me today. Hopefully by the next video, it'll be like a dry fit of everything, and you can kind of get a look at it. Might even have some wheels and tires on there or something. Oh, the other debacle, found out. So this is the swing arm that it came with. It was already screwed up. Somebody had taken a piece of square square stock, and just kind of what I suspect is this whole bridge here must have broke off, okay, and got screwed up, and the motor probably when it broke, the motor, you know, these hangers got bent and everything. I didn't notice this until after I put the hump in there for the velocity stack, and then as soon as I got all that done and reinforced it, because I had already seen they did this and I did this and they did this, which leads me to say, leads me to believe, like I said, this probably broke here or here and shifted, and they just kind of didn't take a measurement and hung it. But this motor was very crooked. Now it's hanging crooked now because I cut off one of the hangers in an attempt to try and get this motor straight. But without there being an axle on there to line up the sprockets, I'm not going to screw with it. So I have another Baja Dune in my scrap yard. I'm going to go grab that swing arm because I just don't have time. I am going to save this. I'm going to save the piece I cut. I'm going to save the whole thing and see if I can't just fix this one and use it for a later project. But because of time, I'm going to donate one of mine, and then I'll just keep this and worry about it later. So that was the whole thing. I had a jack under there. I had it level, and there's just no way without an axle to really judge where this motor needs to be, and you need that axle for a point of reference, and I just don't have time to drag out an axle, put bearing blocks back in. You know, just easier to go grab a good swing arm and go with that and not have to worry about it, because if these sprockets don't line up, this thing will be throwing chain all the time, and we do not need that aggravation. So all right, I think that leaves us for today. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and video number 7 hopefully coming soon, and some cool progress. So I want to thank you guys. If you haven't already, subscribe. If you like what we're doing, if you need parts, go to gotbuggies.com. All right, guys, JD's out.